The reason most people fail to have a breakthrough, I experience, there's actually 3 elements to it. And they go after them in the wrong sequence. It's kind of like if you know the right numbers to a vault and you put them in the wrong order, you don't get the treasure, right? Same thing with your phone number. You don't reach the person. So I'll give you the 3 S's to a breakthrough. The first one is not the most valuable one. It's the first one people go for. It's strategy. Now, for you and I, strategy seems like the most natural thing to go for. If I want to achieve something, how do I do it? That's the number 1 question, right? The problem with asking, how do I do it, is if you've never done it before, most people then go into what I call the tyranny of how. The tyranny of how is like, have you ever done this? Set a goal, maybe when you're really young, I'm gonna do this. You maybe even told people you're gonna do this, and this voice in your head goes, who are you kidding, right? Yeah. Because what happens is you start to doubt because you have no reference base, you have no experience. And so when you're uncertain, you don't follow through. You know, you look at a peak performer, what makes them a peak performer, if you watch them going down that court in the NBA or NFL or whatever sport it may be, you feel this relentless energy. There's not an ounce of hesitancy. There's absolute certainty. That doesn't guarantee success, but it increases the probability through the roof. When you focus on something you know how to do, the doubts show up. And then the second thing that happens is, I'll give you an example. Let's take a simplistic piece. 70% of Americans are overweight, right? We're the fattest country in the history of the world. We're infecting every other country with our dietary patterns, and people around the world are getting more and more ill. But is the secret to being fit and healthy like so complex that you only need super intelligent people can understand? Is it that it costs so much to learn that technology? Is it special only for the 0.1% of the population? No, the strategy of how to be fit and healthy, there's a million different strategies. There's not even just one. And they'll all work to a certain extent. Some are better than others, obviously. So it's not a strategy problem. Now, it's possible. So some people did have the wrong strategy, but the real problem is the second S. I'm moving backwards in order of importance, meaning strategy is the least important, even though I consider myself a strategist. I know the right strategy could save you 10 years in your business. The right strategy could save you months in terms of turning your weight around or transforming a relationship. It could be minutes, right, if you have the right strategy. But people don't use the strategy because the second S gets in the way, which is their story. The story, we all tell ourselves stories about things. Our narrative of our life controls our life more than anything else. And all the story is a set of beliefs. And beliefs are nothing but things we've told ourselves over and over again with so much certainty that now we believe them. Like, for example, for yourself, if I can ask, can you think of any belief you may have had 10, 15 years ago that back then you would have fought for that belief, but today you're almost embarrassed you had that belief?
Yes.
Right? Most people can. So the fact that you believe it doesn't mean it's true. It just means you're certain. And so most people have certainty about what won't work. So let's take the example of fitness again. So why aren't you ask that person who's 35 pounds overweight, how come you're overweight? Well, I've tried, what will they say? I've tried
everything.
That's right, everything. And I look at them and I say, with all due respect, you haven't tried everything. Yes, I have. I've tried thousands of things. Okay, name them. And then they'll go, well, I've tried hundreds of things. Name them. Well, I've tried these 2 things that don't work over and over again is what it'll come down to, right? And they call that everything, right? So the story keeps them to do it. You're not in a relationship. You don't have a relationship. You say you want one. Why aren't you in one? Well, the good ones are all taken. They're gone. Or they're gay and I'm not. Or I'm gay and they're not, right? It's not true. It's just not true. But the story controls what you're willing to do or not do because it's a belief, and beliefs control actions, right? So even if you have the right strategy, if your story doesn't support it, have you ever been with somebody and you were, let's say, trying to help them and you've got lots of skill, and so you're showing, hey, here's what you can do to take on small businesses and build a real mini empire for yourself, right? And you can do it with businesses people aren't competing you for, and you can earn great cash flow, and it's not sexy, but it's very successful. Well, let me show you how. And you can put all that in front of them, and they're just like, no, it's like, no, that's not gonna happen. It just won't work for me. You say, no, look, I can show you, I've done it. No, it doesn't work for me. And the more you push on them, then they get more irritated. And the reason they're irritated is they want to hang on to their story, because the deepest fear everybody has, everyone has. Kings I've dealt with and queens, Academy Award winners, Grammy winners, winners of the NFL, the greatest players in history. Everybody has a fear at some point that they're not enough. Yeah. Not rich enough, not smart enough, not funny enough, not attractive enough, not playful enough, not something enough. And the deeper fear we have is that we're not enough, we won't be loved. And love is really, it's like the heartbeat of the soul, right? It's the essence, it's the oxygen of your soul. So you have to divorce your limitations and marry the truth of your unlimited ability. Now, some people get a divorce and then they go visit their divorcee on a regular basis. It's not a good idea. You have to just cut it off and no longer go there. You have to tap into the truth. You know, as corny as it sounds, the truth will set you free. But for most people, they don't have someone to really do that to them. That's what I do. I create environments where that happens. But there is something before that. And that is the first S, the one you should start with, but most people rarely even get to, and that is your state. If you're gonna have a breakthrough, it comes from your state. You can think of that as energy, vitality, strength, mental energy, mental fitness, right? All that really means is your mental, emotional state affects the way you perceive everything in life. Have you ever been pissed off at somebody and then you suddenly can remember everything that they ever did that pissed you off?
Of course not, never.
Right. So, and when you're in love, what's wrong with life if you fall totally in love?
Not a damn thing.
Nothing's wrong with it. It's where broken doesn't matter, we're in love, right? So your state controls your story. Your story and your state control whether you do anything. If no one showed you how to get the strategy, you'd figure out the strategy. You'd find the way, you'd make the way with the right state. So all the work I've done most of my life, I realized was start with a state. Because everywhere else you're starting, you're paying, you could teach them the best tools in the world, they won't follow through. If I start with a story, it's easy to shift their belief, and then I can teach them the tools. But if you don't do it in that order, people get very, very frustrated. If you do it in that order, it becomes very, very easy. Like, for example, think about this. Somebody says to you, okay, I know, I gotta go on a diet. I gotta exercise. I'm gonna do it. I'm really gonna do it. Is it gonna happen?
No.
It's not gonna happen in a million years because the state they're in. Most people are trying to get themselves to do something. And what they don't understand is what you do is based on your state. And what do you think is harder, for example, dieting or fasting?
Dieting.
Yes, very much so.
Absolutism. Because fasting is absolute. You just don't do it.
That's
Dieting is like a rule by attrition.
Like, have this? No, I'm having water. That's nothing, right?
Yeah.
So if you get to that place, that mindset, which is total resolve, that's what it takes to fast. In a state of resolve, it's easy. When you're dieting, you're saying, well, could I do that? What if I could do that? You're negotiating. Negotiation with yourself makes you weak. So the right state, you'll get the right behavior, you'll get the right story, and you'll find the right strategies. And so my focus is first there. Now I still do all three, but that's where I go first. So we all have 6 needs, human needs. Certainty, everybody has it. It's a survival need because certainty you can be comfortable, because if you're not comfortable, if you're in pain regularly, regular pain means damage, regular damage equals death. So it's the base need for human beings. But if you're certain all the time, you're bored silly, so you need uncertainty, right? You need variety, you need surprise. We need significance. Our culture way overvalues significance today because of social media.
That's
like people, put on filters and pretend they're different than they are. The need for connection and love is the deepest need that people have. But most people want certain love. And so they try to control the love and kills it. Or they want significant love, like it's got to be the most significant thing. And then they start to promote who they are more than they are because they think that's what's necessary and they're not truthful, right? And then we need to grow, we need to contribute. Those are the spiritual needs. If you don't grow, your relationship's not growing. If your business is not growing, it's dying. That's the law of life. Everything grows or dies. But also when you grow, then you have something to give. What makes people have a meaningful life is to feel like there's something beyond yourself. Because meeting your own basic needs, any idiot can do. You can lie to yourself and do that. You can work just 12-hour days and do that. There's a million ways you can meet those basic needs of certainty and uncertainty and significance and connection, at least, not so much love. I mean, think about it. When you were born, what'd you have to do to be loved? Nothing. Scream, yell, go to the bathroom in your pants, throw up all over your mom or your dad. You're still loved, right? But there was a day when that stopped. And that's the day that fear entered your body. That's the day you try to figure out what to do so you would, because to survive, you need love. Love is where someone puts their needs aside for yours, right? Our capacity to feel that caring allows us to connect, allows us to work with others, allows us to expand beyond what other people can possibly do. And so I look at it and say, okay, if this is our capacity, why is it that we have this unconditional love in the beginning and then everybody pursues it for the rest of their life and rarely feels it? Because if you're unconditional love forever, you'd never grow. You never bring anything to the world. It would all be about me, just like ridiculous. So you have to grow up and realize life's not about you, it's about we. Right? We need to grow, we need to expand. If you went to Vegas and let's say you pulled one of those Warren bandits and you get the jackpot, what was your response gonna be?
Sweet.
Awesome, yeah. Second time.
Probably less excited, but still excited.
100 times every time you get the same victory. Now it's called a job.
That's fascinating.
Right? So we need jackpots in our life to make us feel alive. If you got everything you wanted every moment, you'd be bored out of your mind.